Yeah, afternoon, everyone. Everyone had a good lunch? Yeah? Yeah? Whoa. Yeah, so this is my first time here, so yeah, thanks for having me. I am Scott Mackay, and I look after our UK and Ireland customers, but as you have probably heard, I'm extremely Scottish, so yes, there we go. Anyway, I was going to say a good joke about that being the best part of the UK, but we might not want to start that just yet. So today I wanted to speak a little bit about telemetry and how we can use that data to actually help us as admins to build better workflows for our users. So marketing said to me, do you want to do Mac sysadmin? I said, absolutely. They said, pick a topic. And I thought, well, why don't we address the elephant in the room and we could talk about our favorite subject right now, Jamf account SSO. I know you're all loving it. I'm sure you've had no hassle setting it up. And then they said to me, but you've only got 25 minutes. I said, well, we can't talk about that in 25 minutes, so we'll pick a different subject. So just today, 3 key points that we're going to kind of cover. What is telemetry, first of all, because again, kind of new subject to me and what it was and how it works, very different to the standard MDM. Then a little bit about how we could work that into end-user testing, help build some workflows and solve some problems for them. And then finally, hopefully some takeaways that you guys can go and use this in your environment and do some testing yourself. So I'm sure we've all seen this prompt. We're all very used to it, yeah? Our end users, on the other hand, though, they might see this maybe once, maybe if they get a new machine again or they download a new app or something, they will see a prompt like this to access something on their machine. And the key part is what is that doing and why is it doing it and what has the user done with it as well. So that's where telemetry comes in. And I was looking for a definition of telemetry. So I found this new AI model called the dictionary. And I was like, yeah, this is pretty good. And you know what? Even academia like it, so everyone loves it. So yeah, don't worry, I'm not going to ask you to read that. But there's just 3 kind of key points to call out there. Is similar to how we do telemetry at Jamf. We've got the instruments, we've got the recordings, and we've got the readings. So what does that mean for us as admins? So we've got, first of all, the instrument. I would never call our end users instruments, so let's call the Mac itself the instrument. And then we have the recording, which in this case we will use Apple's endpoint security framework. And again, for a Scotsman, that's a lot of R's to roll, so I will call it ESF going forward. And then we need to read that data somehow, and that data can be quite a lot, as we're going to see. And we're going to put that into our SIEM. The endpoint security framework gives us lots of advantages. We can see different types of user events, we can see malicious events, we can see pseudo events, different terminal events, and we can then take that data and put it into our SIEM tool of choice. You may be using potentially Splunk or Sentinel, Elastic. We've got integrations with all the key players. In security, our security departments in InfoSec, they love all these tools. They got access to all these tools. We necessarily don't, and they like it for this type of stuff, right? They want to go threat hunting, remediating, doing audits, which is great. Doesn't really, for us as Mac admins, it's not what gets us out in the morning, right? We want to talk about onboarding workflows and packaging and scripts and all that kind of cool stuff. Whereas security, they like this type of stuff. They love alerts and ambers and reds and all this, They want to do that day in, day out with graphs. So that's it, right? That's telemetry, right? We've got data and that's it. But maybe because, yeah, while that is really useful, like I say, doesn't necessarily help us because we're not necessarily looking for those threats or vulnerabilities. What about the real world? So let's take that end user testing example and we can jump back to where we started. So let's take a workflow, for an example, where our user has an access grant to something. So I'll take one that we're probably all very familiar with, and it's this one here that I showed at the start. And again, this is now our Mac prompting us. So this is our instrument. We can take this prompt and we can actually log that as part of telemetry. And from that one command, this is what you get. And you can all read that, right? Yeah, everyone see that? Yeah, especially after lunch. Like, oh, yeah. If we zoom in a little bit, what we then get is what we really want as Mac admins. We can see what has made that prompt. We can see potentially who's doing it, whether that be a machine or the user, whatever it is we want to collect, we can filter that data out. We can see what they've tried to access with that prompt. So in this case, it'd be the desktop folder. And we can see whether they allowed or denied it. So great, now we're getting some really useful information. And for something like this, let's say they did deny it, what we can start to do is we can gather that data and build better MDM workflows. So we can take a configuration profile now, knowing that the user has potentially done something they shouldn't have, and whether you're in a good mood or a bad mood, I've decided that they shouldn't be allowed to go to the downloads folder, but they'll be allowed to access the desktop folder. And what that looks like on the machine, we're all very aware of, is we've got nice interface in the configuration profile. So now, when my user does do certain commands, like this, we're all good. They just get access, no prompts. Fine, they don't need to click anything, which is really good. What's really nice about this as well, as part of telemetry, is we can actually see that configuration profile being installed on the device. We can see the MDM executable getting that data and saying, I have installed this. That's really useful. There's been a lot of talk this week around GitOps and CI/CD workflows and such. You can start to add this in, right? Because we can start to get all that data from the device, not just the MDM. So you can start to build pipeline workflows as well, and then take the data from the device. So I've just got an example here of that PPPC prompt profile being installed and then removed again, just to show you as an example. And again, you can get all the data from the configuration profile, so you can validate that it matches. So there we go. So we've just taken one example there, a very simple, easy to understand example where we're getting a prompt, we're seeing that data, and then we can build a workflow. That's you guys, that's what we like to do. We like to solve problems, right? We're not looking at the threat side, we want to solve problems. So we've built that, and again, like I say, that's what we do, right? We connect those dots and we go, we could make this better. We want to build better workflows. Again, probably not a major real-world example, but maybe this is. When your users say the Zoom is not working, I'm not just going to pick on Zoom. It could be WebEx, it could be Teams, right? We've all had help desk tickets like this, or Slack messages, whatever it may be. Again, taking that example that I just used, we can start to see what's happening on the machine. So again, we can see Zoom here, we can see the user, or the host. We can see that they've actually denied access to the camera, probably one of the most important features for Zoom to actually be useful. So again, really useful. And why this is helpful as well is because, as we all know as MDM admins, we can't grant access to the camera. So now the user has got themselves in a bit of a sticky situation, and we need to help resolve that. What we're probably going to do then is we're probably going to have to give them some sort of admin right to elevate themselves and go and approve that. So again, you could potentially use numerous tools to do this. Elevate 24, SAP privileges. I'm just going to use Jamf Connect here. I can go to the menu bar. I'm not doing any password syncing. I'm going to do a local auth because I may be using this in conjunction with Platform SSO. I will tell the reason why I'm going to do this, and I now get an elevation. I've got a timer set, and I get a nice notification. And that's all great. And again, us as the admins, we can start to collect that data. So again, this is just some of it. Again, don't worry about reading it all, just taking the concept in. We can start to see who done it, what the category it fell under of privilege elevation, why they done it, the daemon that launched that, etc. And even better, as we often get asked as admins, Windows teams, nobody asks them what they do, and there's 15 of them. Normally on the Mac side, there's one of us, and they go, what's it we do with the Macs again? And we can start to show them stuff like this, where we can say, this specific user has elevated 16 times, and we can see that in real time as well. And on the left-hand side, I've got just 8 for the whole department for that week. So I've excluded that user and then there's been 8 other elevations. We can also start to pull out the reason as well, so we can ask them, why did you elevate? We can start to get that type of data as well to understand what they think they need admin rights for as well. Sometimes our users don't know, they just see they can't do it and they go, oh well, I'll just make myself admin and do something anyway. We can start to see that. And then we can track that data as well. So we can see all the different reasons that they've got. So again, I've got a few different examples here. Scott's been kind of silly. He's asked for some malware to be installed. That's why he's wanting to be an admin. But we can collect other data as well, like maybe they need to change a time zone. Maybe they're wanting to install Xcode. And again, we can start to take this data to build those workflows. Maybe we need to add some more apps into our catalog, whatever it may be. So that was just a couple of events that we could pick up with telemetry. There is so much more. You've got different system events. You can have user events like we've just seen. You can also do things like collect data from simple log files. So if you have an application that does write to a simple log file, like Jamf Pro does, you can actually read that data in real time from the device and put it into your SIEM as well. So you can start to monitor for potentially crashes or any binary changes as well. So we've got a lot of data that we can collect here. Quite a common one, actually, is that app and system performance metrics. A lot of people want to do it. You can quite literally go bananas with telemetry. So you can collect so much data with it. And again, I've just provided a couple of examples here today. I know what you're all going to say, though. You're all going to say, that is great. I don't have a SIEM, or I can't get access to a SIEM, so how do I get that data off the machine? Well, luckily, we have a few different options that you can do. So obviously, we are Jamf. I'm going to talk about Jamf Protect. Other vendors may do something similar. Here, we have different categories that you can set up to collect. So again, might be system changes, might be users and groups, might be those TCC prompts that I've shown you earlier. You can turn on and off these different categories depending on what it is that you want to collect and what it is that you want to do. And again, maybe you're focusing on something. Maybe it is that you just want to watch the apps and the performance of the machine for crashes and such. You can just turn on that specific option. Then a little bit of a workflow to actually get this into a machine, because what we're going to do is we're obviously not going to put this into a SIEM because we don't have access to one. You can actually have the option to do it to a local file. So we can actually take that data, put it into a local file, and collect it that way. Again, don't deploy this out like this, but you can use it for testing and starting to work and document what you potentially want to ingest into a SIEM. What you do need to be aware of, though, is that file does need specific access and some privileges. So I maybe wouldn't do it this way. You could do it live on the machine and change the file permissions, but you can do it in here if you want to, and you can change the file path that log will live. You can change that as well from here if you need to. So now we've got a local log file set up collecting that data. We want to run some tests. So again, we can do a TCC prompt, quite a common one that we want to do, and expand and build something in MDM for. Now what we need to do is we need to read that file. Does anyone know about Jamf Check? Has anyone used this? Any Jamf customers got it? Oh, I see one hand, two hands, couple of hands. Really, really great tool. I highly recommend it. You can find it at Jamf Marketplace. It's on GitHub. You can go download it. Made by one of my colleagues, Tice, super smart guy. It looks like this. It works for Jamf Pro, Jamf Connect, Jamf Protect. It's like a bit of a troubleshooting app. You can collect logs, you can run tests and validate certain requirements on your machine. So you can see here that I've went to the Protect part. Now, very hidden in this app is there is actually a telemetry button in here. If you select that, it will then open up a new window, and what you can actually do is put the log file into this application, and it will sort out all that JSON for you just to make it really easy, really readable, and give you options to potentially send to your InfoSec team saying, can we start collecting and ingesting this data? So you can select your log file from wherever you got it from, and if you hit Start Monitoring, all being well, you will start to see streams and streams of data coming in there, depending on what you've turned on. So again, you could do everything from authorization grants, TCC grants, user privileges, all these types of data you can start to collect locally on that machine. So again, run the test, monitor, pick it up. What you can then do is you can select one of the options that you're maybe looking to monitor for, like this. It looks very much like what we start to collect in our SIEM. So we can start to monitor for that. And again, you get the same types of data out of that log file. So again, we can see what happened, potentially what they were trying to do, TCC grant, and what they wanted access to, and whether they approved it or not. So there we go. So we've ran our test. And again, we now want to run that test again. We can start to gather more data. So this one here, we've now got a privilege elevation again. And what exactly I'm looking for, anyone that's quick at maths, they'll see in the top there, we've got the 600 seconds, which is about 10 minutes that we've granted this user admin access for. So again, you can see here that, again, although we're collecting it locally, if we were doing this across our whole estate, we can really start to monitor what our users are doing, why they're doing it, what they need it for, and then we start to build those better workflows, like telling them to turn the camera on when they have a video conferencing tool, which would be very helpful. So just some top tips. I did say it, but I'm going to say it again because I don't want support to come to me and say, you told everyone to start just streaming telemetry to their 5,000 devices locally, and now all their machines are like grinding to a halt because they've got big log files on them. Please don't do that. just do it to your test machines. And again, don't necessarily worry about being an expert in telemetry and the data. Just let it run and start to search through those logs, and you'll start to gather it up about what it is. And like that, break things. See what you can find. See what you can't find. You'll be surprised just about how much you can collect with this. So far, we're almost there. Hopefully, everyone's away downloading Jamf Check and deploying it. So some key takeaways that I just wanted to share with you. Like, yes, you can do this with telemetry, and your InfoSec team will love it. It'll be great. It'll show them everything that's happening, all the security events. They'll get the colors that they like. They'll get the charts. But like I say, for us as admins, what actually matters is more stuff like this. Getting that data, seeing how it's being used. So again, monitoring for those TCC grants, potentially looking for those profiles that are being added or removed, seeing how many times people have elevated. Is that number going up? Is it going down? Why are they elevating? We can start to collect all this data and understand how our users are using their tools on the machine. So telemetry is really useful, but yeah, don't worry if you don't understand it, because it is a lot to gather. Probably the biggest thing is like say, you may already be doing this, you may already be collecting it, but what are we going to do with it? Again, is it building better MDM configs? Is it potentially deploying new tools that we need? Is it granting admin access at certain times? Is that through a policy? Is that through terminal? Is that through self-service? Whatever it may be. The other part is around endpoint security framework. Has anyone delved into the endpoint security framework developer docs? Do they look at that at all? No hands. Nobody looks at it. Okay. Does anyone look at the MDM developer docs and looks at the keys, the configuration profiles? Yeah. A lot more hands going up. Yeah. We're probably going to have to look at the endpoint security framework now as much as we do the MDM, to be honest, because there's a lot of them that is actually converging into one and how we work. So again, just start to maybe look at that. And Apple do have the awesome platform security guide as well, which a lot of that relates into. And then finally, we maybe don't need to hug or hold hands like this image here is, but we are going to have to get closer with security to make this work. They probably own a lot of the tooling where we can get this data from and take it. So again, work with them. They're probably not Mac experts. We are, so we can help them as much as they can help us, and we can work together to do this. And yeah, that was just a quick methodology of telemetry for Apple admins. Now, I was supposed to end here, but then marketing told me that we've not handed out the raffle tickets yet. So if you want to get your tickets for the raffle, come to our stand. And most importantly, if you do get a raffle ticket, bring it with you tonight. Because if you don't have it, you can't win. So make sure you have it with you. But yes, thank you. Any questions?